Yesterday, the first day people were allowed back into the north of Gaza. And they kept coming, over 300,000 of them, through the night and into today. Families became divided in the chaos of this journey. Others separated since the start of the war. Umali Muhassin hasn't seen her daughter and grandchild for 15 months. They're due to meet in this neighborhood in Gaza City.
اشتغلوا كثير كثير من الصبح إلى هان مش قادرة أنا أشوف الشوب والحر والهذا لكن مش مشكلة بس أشوفهم بنسى كل التعب أنا بس يجوني بالسلامة إن شاء الله.
Then the respite of reunification in the rubble.
كثير مبسوطة كثير مبسوطة إني أنا رجعت شفت أهلي وشفت أمي وشفت خواتي كلهم الحمد لله يا رب الحمد لله. دمعت الفرحة والله دمعت الفرحة.
Salah al-Din Street is the designated route for people with vehicles returning home. Checkpoints run by Egyptian and American contractors who screen the traffic for weapons. Otman Abu Halima has run out of petrol. The family are pushing the car home.
صار لنا 24 ساعة بس في الطريق عذاب. ايش هقول لك يعني تعب، احنا كنا مجهزين امورنا ان احنا جرتين غاز. تصوري جرتين غاز خلصوا. وبعد ما خلصوا قاعدين بنزق لانه ما فيش بديل.
This is what they're returning to. Homelessness, unexploded ordnance, bodies still buried in the rubble. The need for industrial levels of aid is plain to see. Under the ceasefire deal, 600 lorries of aid are to be allowed into Gaza a day. UNRWA, the UN's relief agency, facilitates the delivery of the majority of that aid. But last year the Israeli government voted to ban UNRWA, accusing it of colluding with Hamas. That ban due to go live on Thursday and will coincide with another exchange of hostages and detainees. The problem, the terms of a ceasefire are unlikely to be met without UNRWA operating in Gaza.
That public communication by the government of Israel towards UNRWA has been extremely aggressive, but it has not been clear in terms of what will be allowed and what will not be allowed. So the actual implementation of these bans on UNRWA have not been clarified to us.
What's most likely to happen on Thursday, UNRWA will close its compound in East Jerusalem but continue to deliver aid into Gaza because as of yet, there's no alternative. Maintaining the fragile peace, a much more complicated long-term affair than waging the war.
Warwick O'Brien. Well, the Labour MP Emily Thornberry is chair of Parliament's Foreign Affairs Select Committee and is just back from a visit to Jordan. She joins me now from Westminster. Emily Thornberry, first of all, your reaction to what's happening in Gaza. I mean, if UNRWA cannot operate in Gaza, and there's some debate about to what extent they can't on the ground, how disastrous do you think that would be?
It simply has to be able to operate in Gaza. I mean, there are no ifs or buts. You know, UNRWA is the organisation that educates the children, that runs the clinics, that organises the aid. There are 13,000 people who work for UNRWA, and I think 19 of them were accused by the Israelis of behaving in a completely partisan and wrong way, but there has been an inquiry that has been dealt with, and frankly there is no other organisation but UNRWA that can do the sort of work that needs to be done, that must be done in Gaza.
The Biden administration stopped funding for UNRWA almost exactly a year ago. Trump's new ambassador at the UN will say that that ban will continue after March, when it was supposed to expire. The British government has said they support UNRWA. What do you think we should do? I mean, can we fill the hole that's left by America refusing to send over the dollars?
I don't think that we can completely fill the hole. I think that the hole has to be filled. I think today there was an announcement in Parliament that there was a large increase in the amount of aid going into Gaza, which I think then ups the amount of aid that Britain has given to Gaza to about 126 million or something in the last year. And we're working with the Jordanians to make sure that aid is getting into northern Gaza, because that's the route that the Jordanians are going to take. And it seems that many of the trucks are getting through. But you know, one thing that isn't happening is that there continues to be a pettiness and a silliness when it comes to letting tents in. And tents and sleeping bags, which obviously people desperately need. They've come back to their homes. Their homes don't exist. They need to have somewhere else that they can live. There's also, as was referred to in your piece, an awful lot of unexploded ordnance out there, which is really dangerous and needs to be cleared. And again, the Israelis are not being helpful when it comes to the sort of work that needs to be done and the sort of equipment that needs to be brought into Gaza in order to make sure that that's cleared.
As you said at the beginning of the interview, you've just come back from Jordan. We know that President Trump has been on the phone to Jordan and Egypt, telling them repeatedly about his plan to clear out, his words, the Gaza Strip and move the Palestinians who live there, who still regard it home, to Jordan and to Egypt. I mean, that's a massive question mark hanging over all of this, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, there needs to be a peace settlement for Gaza and for the West Bank. There needs to be, in my view, in the view of my committee, a rebuilding of Gaza. Now, the question is, how do we do that if there can't be a guarantee that it isn't all going to get bombed again in 3 or 4 years' time? So it has to be tied into a proper peace deal, which means that there has to be a really solid path for the Palestinians towards their own state. And if that does happen, then I think that money will go in for the rebuilding of Gaza. Now, Donald Trump also says that he wants there to be a regional deal. And part of that regional deal really can't hold together, in my view, without there being justice for the Palestinians and a Palestinian state. Everything will be undermined by it.
Yeah, but what he's talking about is wholesale ethnic cleansing of the Gaza Strip. And he's still talking about it.
Yeah, well, I think that I think that we just simply cannot agree to that, and the Palestinians won't agree to that. What needs to happen is that it needs to be.
And will Britain tell him? And will the British government stand up to Donald Trump and say, we also don't agree to this?
I would certainly expect them to.
But they might not.
I would certainly expect them to. It has been settled British policy for decades that there should be a two-state solution, and that state for the Palestinians is Gaza and the West Bank. And that there should not be, it should be the whole of the West Bank, and it should be along the 67 borders. That has been settled policy in Britain and, frankly, settled policy internationally. And, and until someone comes up with a better idea, that is what the international consensus is. And it is not a better idea simply to clear the Gaza Strip. It simply isn't.
Going to leave it there. Emily Thornberry, thank you very much indeed.